In this short video, I'd like to demonstrate some of the new features of SkyTrack version 1.6.7. Most of the new features are related to the drawing of the sky map. In Setup, underneath Sky Map Options, we have a number of new parameters here. The first one is Draw Stars. So if I unclick that, I now have no stars drawn on my sky map. Turn that back on. The other two options that are new are the ability to plot the sun and plot the moon. As it says here, they're not going to be plotted to scale. So when we look at the sky map, here's the sun, this yellow disk, and it's obviously bigger than it actually appears in the sky. If we drew that to scale, it would only be a pixel or two. The rationale for plotting the sun is if you do any daytime viewing of satellites, it's helpful to see that your satellite isn't going to travel in front of the sun, which wouldn't be safe. In terms of sun avoidance, there is another new feature. If we go to Setup, Global Interface Setup, we now see this new parameter, which we can enable, and we can specify a number of degrees that we'd want to stop the mount if the mount got that close to the sun. So in this case, satellite tracking will stop if the mount gets within 20 degrees of the sun during satellite tracking. So let's turn that on. Let's just connect to the mount here. And see if I can get an example. Okay, this is going to get within 20 degrees. In fact, it already is within 20 degrees. So it stopped immediately, saying that tracking stopped to avoid the sun. If we would have started tracking earlier, it would allow me to track down here. But as soon as it got within that 20-degree range of the sun, we get that message and satellite tracking will stop. It should be noted here that this only takes effect during satellite tracking. So if you're doing a regular go-to to an object underneath astronomical objects or something like that, it's not necessarily going to stop you from slewing across in front of the sun because that's sort of a mount function. So we're just telling the mount to slew to that object, and it's in the mount's control how it's going to get to that object. So I just want to point that out, that this safety measure is only when we're actively tracking satellites. The other useful thing now that we're plotting the sun and the moon on here, and I originally didn't plot it for this reason, but I found it useful, is underneath our future past predictions, if we have ISS, for example, and let me just expand this search a little wider. Hopefully find some good examples. What I realize is when you quickly scroll through here, you can quickly see whether we have a near transit. So here on August 12th at around 5 o'clock, you can see it's getting pretty close to the sun. Now, on this representation here, it looks like we have an actual transit. We see this line going right to this yellow disk. But as I said earlier, this yellow disk is an actual size. So actual size would only be a pixel or two. So I don't think this is an actual transit. It's more of a near transit, even though it looks like it's a transit on this graph. So let's just take a look. August 12th at 5 o'clock. And it was with the sun. And there it is there. So it's within a degree. It's a pretty close transit. You wouldn't have to move too far to make that an actual transit. And let's go further and we'll just see if we can find, that's what the moon plot is going to look like. And there's one that's kind of close. So August 19th at 8 in the morning, we want the moon. So there it is there, about 4 degrees away. And if we go down a little further, August 20th at little just before 2 o'clock. That one looks even a little closer again. On this graph, it looks like it's transit, but this moon is an actual size. And that would be this one there. So it is a little closer, a little over a degree. So that's just sort of another neat feature when you first start up. You just quickly scroll through there. You can see if you've got any near transits coming up. And if you do see something, then you can go to here and actually calculate them, see how close it is. This little green dot here, that's actually this down here. So this automatically selects a bright star near the maximum elevation of our path that you might want to do a sync on with your mount to improve your accuracy at the best part of the pass at the maximum elevation. So that's what that little green dot was. I think the color changed in this version too. I think it was like a white dot or something before. So that's the new features in SkyTrack 1.6.7. And I hope to always do a short video like this with each new version, because sometimes it's easier just to quickly see the new features than to read through the documentation. So hope you find these changes useful, and thanks for watching.